be okay. I traveled the world of the 7 seas. I've gone to the top, down on my knees. I've been where I've been, doing what I had to do, but I'd rather be here tonight in Melbourne with you. This is the entry speech of an author called Dennis Waitley. If maybe some of you have read this book, Psychology of Winning, raise your hand. That's what I expected, 1 or 2. And the reason why I'm here tonight is not because of just telling about my career, but tonight, as you all know, it's all about you. So what I want you to remember tonight, probably about my speech, is just to work on the primary thing, which is relationships, friendships. These 2 things are what will help you to go beyond anything, because by yourself you will not be able to do it. And that's the only thing I want to remember tonight, is exactly like to work on. If you can say hi and smile to the person on your left, on your right, you probably know them. If you can stretch your arm, go across another table, do that tonight, because what I learned in my career, it's strong relationships and friendships is what has brought me where I am tonight here. And the people on my right on this table are the ones that shaped completely my life in a way that I'll be sharing tonight. So I need to thank, first of all, my biggest friend, partner, call it that way. It's my mother. She's here with me, Fausta. You all have to know that I grew up in a little town not far from Venice where we make Prosecco. You probably, some of the girls like the... So not only we walk out of the door half drunk, but we play soccer a lot over in Italy. And I was 13 years old, always wanted to be a pilot, watched Top Gun 100 times. My sister had that Tom Cruise poster on his bedroom, which I had to put up with. And my hair had to be on the left, not on the right. So I grew up with dog tags and wearing a white shirt and pretending I was him. Anyhow, one afternoon I was going to play soccer and my mother was talking to a friend. So we go back to the friend business again, over the phone. And she was mentioning over the phone that I don't know why Alessio hasn't chosen aviation school. Because you have to know in Italy, when you're 13, you have to choose your further education, like your year, I think 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You have to choose what kind of study you'd like to do. Some people want to go and learn Latin and Greek and mathematics. People want to be a pilot, go to aviation school. Anyhow, she was mentioning this over the phone, and I just happened to listen since she mentioned my name. And I stopped for a moment and I said, well, I would actually still become a pilot. And my mother looked at me and was like, well, if you don't talk, I were meant to know. Okay, so 2 weeks after, I was enrolled to a school which is about 180 kilometers away from where I lived. So for the next 5 years, every morning my mom will take me to the train station, and we'll catch the train at 6:46, go for about an hour train, and then I'll walk 30 minutes to the school Monday to Saturday, so 6 times a week for 5 years. And this is again, we come back to the motivation that Gary was mentioning. There was no doubt you have to have this in your career to start as a beginning, in anything you do, not just aviation. And everything becomes easier. After that, many of my senior students I knew were going to Texas, a lot in Florida, went to America, did 1,000 hours, get 1 year visa before coming back to Italy, where they could convert their license and apply for Airlines. This was a reality in 2000 or 1998, 1999. Although when I graduated in 2002, there was new regulation by the European Union saying that you can't do that that easily. You have to convert your license, which means it costs another $40,000, $30,000 to do that. So for people like me that back then, 2002, I had to really make a choice, because I knew that if I want to become a pilot, I have to be able to speak English properly, so you can have a joke with me and have a laugh. Go for interviews everywhere, but because my Italian was pretty good, but not my English. So I had to make a conscious choice that I had to choose a country where I could master the English and make sure that I could stay there longer than 1 year, because the opportunity to come back to Italy probably wasn't there, despite of maybe my will. So those days, internet was just starting to kick on. So you could type in a word like learn to fly, choose Australia by accident, and read something about Australia. I had to go look at my map on the road, didn't know where Australia was, honestly. I knew it was down the bottom of the hemisphere somewhere. So I look at how will I tell my mom that from here I want to go fly that way. So after that, I emailed Andrew. Interesting enough, I emailed Andrew and asked him what was the opportunity if I will have become a student at MFS, if one day I'll be working for them. And that was the biggest important answer I had to receive in order to make a conscious choice. And I probably have the email saved somewhere if I haven't canceled my emails. But yeah, he replied, yes, most of our students that do instructor rating, if there's availability, we hire them an instructor. Okay. And then I look at the page, of the instructor page of the website, and I saw Gary, he was there. I saw lots of young faces. And that gave me the confidence to say, well, there must be something going on over there, because in Italy, in Europe, most instructors are all ex-military pilots or ex-civils, are very old. Well, they're all young people, so that's a good opportunity. Anyhow, one day I found myself on Emirates flight. It was the 1st of December, so almost 13 years ago. And here we are arriving in Melbourne for the first time. Of course, crying for 3 days. The first 2 days I cried like a baby because I didn't know. You come to a new country, no one knows you, you have to prove yourself and the role who you are. The most funny part that I always tell everybody is when I made my first phone call at the airport, I got at 1 o'clock in the morning and nobody was there. Andrew was meant to pick me up, and I don't know, maybe it's a ghost school, which happened a lot. So I made my first phone call, was I think 40 cents back then in one of the Telstra phones at the airport, which is probably not there anymore. And 1:30 in the morning, a female voice answered, and that was Mary. I probably wake them up, and I said, hello, I'm Alessio, I'm from Italy, is it Andrew there? So she must have understood what I said. And she said, oh, Alessio? And I hear them chatting a bit. Yes, it's here. And I was like, oh, big relief. And he will come straight away, just be there, 30 minutes. Okay, no problem. So, very happy, achieved already, part of my journey. And I took a seat somewhere, waiting for Andrew, and an old Australian man was waiting someone to come. It was like this Aussie hat, the Outback one, and he asked me, oh, you just arrived? I said, yes. Where? Oh, Italy. Oh, Italy, I love Italy. I've been to Florence, Pisa, Rome, I love Cinque Terre, Venice, beautiful. And I'm looking at this gentleman saying, I've never been to Pisa, I've never been to Florence. Like, these Australians must be traveling a lot. And he said, oh, you love Australia, but you gotta be careful. I said, careful? Why? Let me tell you. So I'm listening very carefully. And he said, well, in Australia we have very, very dangerous animals. One you have to look for. It's a spider called the redback. The redback. I've never heard of a redback before. So he described what is a redback. And then he said, well, also be careful if you ever travel up north. There is very poisonous jellyfish here. Really? Jellyfish? Why? And you can't even see them. They're invisible, and they can kill you immediately. Okay, perfect. I'm starting writing notes. I saw this was going for a while. And then he started to say, oh, and then be careful if you go down to St. Kilda here in Melbourne. It's a lot of drugs and people crazy, a lot of fights. Be careful. Don't go there. Thinking, oh my God, maybe I should go back to Italy. I started to thinking, and then at some point he said, but don't worry. Besides all that, you will love Australia. Because as you know, my intent was to stay here for a long, long time. So anyway, Andrew arrives. So I was expecting someone like you with a tie, with maybe my name written Alessio. Welcome to Australia. Anyway, most of you probably know. I'll give you okay. So let's start with his socks, because I'm starting from the bottom up. So these runners, he had one sock, I think was a kind of that balloon, and the other one was sort of a pinky. Shorts with holes, blue, and a jumper. And he was this fit guy, blue eyes, big smile, super tan. I'm like, wow. And he's like, welcome to Australia. And he shook my hand as hard as he could. I almost started screaming. And he gave me a big pat on my back. I said, welcome to Australia, let's go. So I follow him. He asked me how was the flight. And we go down to his car. So that back then was a classic Commodore Holden Commodore. So he opens the boot, and I get shocked. I've never seen a car so messy, full of everything. So it's like, oh, sorry, my kids, you know, so he's pushing everything away, and you can imagine what was in there. Anyway, and he asked me on the way back to, the airport, you know. He was taking me to Albert Park back then. He asked me, you know, a bit about what I would like to achieve. So, and it was already hard to understand NGO back then, so my English was very, very limited. So I said, oh, you know, one day I would love to, you know, maybe work for Qantas or even try the Air Force. Who knows? Okay. So that's how my journey began in 2003. So that was the 1st of December. So just one day before Andrew's birthday, which is coming up again. And from there, after 6 months, I achieved my commercial pilot license. I still remember my flight instructor, which is not here tonight, Tim Helfield. What I really impressed by him, first of all, when he came to pick me up at the train station, he was wearing a pilot uniform. I'm like, wow, people here wear pilot uniforms? I was like shocked already. And he gave me the first time a briefing on the board. Remember, I already flew in Italy. I had 55 hours in a PPL, but no one ever really does briefing on the board with an aiming point and all that. So he's incredible instructor. And what I liked about him, he was very, 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 very professional, but very, very humble. And that's another thing which helps you with relationship, is to be very, very humble. Which when I became instructor later on, I kind of maybe adopt his way of being very good at it, but being very humble. And that's something maybe you can take with you. I still remember that I couldn't write the 80s of Moorabbin. It was too fast for me. And if you ever learn another language, you will see that even though you know the language a bit, but you have to develop what's called the ear, because they go very fast. So that was my level of English back then. Anyhow, with my CPL, I went everywhere in Australia. Back then we didn't have Tango Alpha Echo or Vo's brand new plane. We had old nice Warrior 2, so we took them all the way to Ace Rock. One of them was like a 24-hour journey, which I recommend everyone if you can do it. And the twin all the way to Coolangatta. I remember passing through Gold Coast one day and looking at outside windows. Oh, one day I would love to work there or live there. Who knows? Anyway, the same year I started my instructor rating. I did all my training partly with Gary, that was my chief pilot at the time, so I know Gary very well. And I think even after 6 months, I could not really get all his jokes. I would laugh anyway, but because I just couldn't. It was just so. But now I got better at it, so that's good. Then I started instructor rating, and after I finished, I had about 250 hours or so, and it was the moment that I would have to ask Andrew if he would offer me a job. And I think I've never been so nervous in my life, not even when I went for interviews later on, than asking for this, because that would have my life would depend on it, whether I would stay in Australia or go somewhere else, maybe another part of the world like Africa, for example. So I just remember when I was trying to catch Andrew, you know when you try not to, when you ask someone something and you try not to disturb him. So I was just waiting for the perfect moment. So one day I was so close, no, I couldn't do it. So scared. And then the second day, maybe, then I took some courage and then I asked Andrew, would you consider perhaps, you know, I could work for you? And he was like, of course. I was like, really? Of course you can. So the issue for us was after that is working for a sponsorship. So which also was a challenge. Anyhow, from there on, things got better and better because I worked for him from a grade 3 junior to grade 2 to grade 1 instructor. I had the privilege to go with Andrew back to Italy. I offered him this idea to perhaps, given MFS was so great, lots of good things about it, the facilities, the airport, the staff, and the whole concept of how they teach flying, to actually sponsor this in Italy. So with him for 3 years, twice in a row, we went to Italy in about 35 institutes to actually, as a speaker, to talk and sell, come to fly in Australia. That was my goal. And because of that, partly because of that, we had lots of students came, about 4 or 5 a year full-time CPL, and then the word kept spreading. We helped build a website. We started making videos, photo editing, PowerPoint presentations, which is all skill that, and a full website, all in Italian, which is all skill that I had to learn. I had no idea how to do that. And once again, this will help you in the future when you go for other interviews, is many interviewers don't just look at if you can fly the plane, they look whether or not you have leadership skill, teamwork skill, but also the skill of selling, being a customer service. It's very big, especially with one of the major airlines here in Australia. So it kind of inbuilt into me to get this opportunity going. Then after that, I started to enroll into Open University Australia to do a course about business. And then halfway through, someone told me that with my experience, I could actually go enroll into a master. So I started studying for a master with Swinburne University. And part of the highlights of that afterwards was about 4 or 5 years after I left MFS to join another flying school up in Bangalore to fly with the Chinese cadets and build quicker my multi-engine experience. Meanwhile, I became citizen, and I got a letter from Qantas to come for an interview. And somebody from a senior CFI said to me, Alessio, sad to tell you, but unfortunately, it's good that you try, but there's no way Qantas will ever recruit people from overseas. I'm just sad news for you, but that's what the truth is. So, thanks to this person that told me, look, you probably will never be able to join Qantas, which is a big aspiration for many of us. Thanks to that person, I actually put about 10 times more effort in preparing than probably I would if he didn't say that words. And in fact, was in July 2008 that I got a letter from Qantas to join them and become one of their second officers starting in late 2008. So that was like the day of my life, happening for real. Although unfortunately in 2008 we know the GFC hit everyone, so it ended up not happening in that particular occasion. And I came back to MFS, worked for them for a few years, and then I got a call in about February 2009 from Qantas Link. So even though I was still set for Qantas, I went to my interview with Qantas Link, we passed the interview, and then I moved to Brisbane in 2010, worked as a first officer in the Dash 8, the Q400. And funny thing there, after me, there was another friend of mine, Daniel Mead, who also was an instructor in MFS, who also joined them, and after him, another 2 guys from MFS joined Qantas Link. It was like a family there. It was moving from MFS to Qantas Link, copy-paste. So worked for them for about 2 years, flying with Dash 8, met amazing pilots, and get to explore more about the outback of Australia. And then after I had the hours, I decided to apply for Jetstar. So did the interview, passed the interview, and then Jetstar offered me a job in February 2013. And since then now I'm working for them, flying the Airbus 320, and I was able to move it to the Gold Coast, which is the place where I always dreamed to. So you have to remember that in 2003, when I dreamed that dream, to come and live in the Gold Coast, Jetstar did not even exist. So it's incredible, you know, sometimes you dream something and still the universe works in your favor if you just keep persevering. And the reason why I pass all these interviews again is because of the connection and the friends that helped me to go through. Which is, again, the people that are in this room tonight, I recommend to speak with them as much as you can, to share their numbers, Facebook, whatever you can, because these people are not happy. And I was one of the first few that had this letter of intent, which is a sort of like an intention that you come back again, we'll do recruitment again, we might recruit you. So it was very recently, it was just in June. I was doing part of my interview via the internet, and I was in Dubai on holiday doing my video interview with Qantas. And I have to be careful how I will point my iPad, because behind the window you'll see the Emirates logo. So I was just trying to be careful of that. And did the process, went to Sydney, did the panel interview with them. Amazing facility, amazing airline, totally recommend it. And then did the simulator again, and then they offered me the intention if I want to join them again, most likely in February. Although, very interesting is, because I love the Gold Coast and I love Jetstar and the career opportunity there, I actually personally withdraw my application and reply to them that, given for circumstances, I have to withdraw my application. So I'm probably one of the people at Jetstar that did not believe me. They say probably one of the first, you can count them on your hand, people who say no to Qantas. So I'm one of them. And again, it's just for personal choice. And now Andrew no longer go ask me to come here to share my story with you. So I hope you got something out of it. And once again, I have to thank Andrew and Maddie, because they are the one who have shaped my life, and the reason why I'm here tonight, standing, is because of you. And I could not imagine myself to be in any other place. You give me everything you can imagine, and I hope you will achieve the same through the MFS spirit. Thank you.